How's it going, guys and geeks? Welcome back to the Geek Critique Show. My name is Dakota.
And I'm Jen.
And we're going to be talking all about Star Wars Rebels today because it finished. It's over. Series finale was this week, this past Monday.
Yeah. It doesn't even feel over to me.
It doesn't, actually.
It does not feel over.
It didn't feel like... Maybe that's kind of a good thing, that it doesn't feel like a true series finale because they left so much open.
Yeah.
But we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot of characters that we want to get into and like where they get to by the end of the episode. And this will go into spoilers. So please be wary that the end of Season 4 of Star Wars Rebels will be entirely spoiled for you. Please watch that before you check this video out. Before we get to any of that, though, we want to first highlight some of our social media outlets because we've been meaning to do that for ages, and we just keep forgetting every single video to actually plug our social media. So you guys, if you want to, you can come and chat with us over on Twitter or on Instagram at the links down here.
On Twitter and on our YouTube community tab, I did 2 separate polls for what my handle should be for Twitter and Instagram, because I wanted them to be the same, but I made a terrible mistake because the 2 polls had drastically different responses. So I just went with Geek Critiquer. Sorry if you voted against that. One side, like the YouTube community side, won very differently from what was on Twitter.
And we got a lot more votes on the YouTube community tab anyway,
yeah. So it kind of, I feel like overall it was more towards a simpler name.
Yeah, so if you guys want to check us out over there, you can see the upcoming projects that we're working on and see things that you might have missed from our channel here. But let's get into Star Wars Rebels. And actually, before we get into Star Wars Rebels, we got to talk about the news that is Jon Favreau producing and writing the new Star Wars live-action TV show.
And if you want to know what he looks like, he's happy.
Yes, from Iron Man and the Avengers and all that. Happy Hogan, he plays that character. He also directed the first 2 Iron Man films, so if you are, you should know his work by now. He also did The Jungle Book, so he's kind of one of Disney's favorite directors at the moment and producers, so it's interesting that they got him in to do this. And I think he can do it.
Mm-hmm. But we want to know what you guys think, so comment below your opinions on him producing that.
Yeah. Are you excited? Do you think it's going to be coming out on the Disney streaming service? I'm sure it will, just because they need something to...
draw us all in.
Yeah, they need something to draw us all in, kind of like with CBS All Access. They had the
Star Trek.
The Star Trek Discovery draw, but that was really the only draw to CBS All Access, unfortunately, so we don't have that anymore. So we have a lot to talk about with the last 6 episodes of Rebels Season 4. The last 6 episodes of the entire show, really. And we kind of want to go week by week, leading up to like what we felt happened in the series finale. And if the series finale kind of was a good cap to the show. Because in many ways, it didn't feel like the end of the show.
It didn't feel like the end, and it also felt like narrow. I don't know how else to put it. I feel like a lot of really broader concepts that affected the whole universe were brought up throughout the season, and then it just ended up being very focused on Lothal.
Yes.
And that was hard to kind of come to grips with when so many like seeds were planted that you thought would be so much more.
Right, would come to fruition. Mm-hmm. Or would be expanded on to a greater extent. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, you never hear about Lothal ever again. But when the show came back, we had the, I guess not so surprising, death of Caleb Doom, or Kanan Jarrus. It was a beautiful episode.
Yeah.
Let's just start there, especially with like the entire episode. I knew because stupid Disney XD decided to spoil that he was going to die in the YouTube title for the clip that they were showing.
So annoying.
So I didn't get to experience that without surprise, but she kind of just knew that this episode was like completely leading up to the fact that this character was going to go.
The way that like he was speaking with everyone, it almost seemed like he even knew he was going to die.
Yeah. That's
that's like a thread among the Jedi.
He was like saying goodbye, basically.
Yeah. Isn't that kind of a thing with the Jedi too? They can kind of tell when it's about their time.
Sometimes.
So I wonder if he had that feeling.
I mean, Order 66 caught them all by surprise.
That's true.
That was partly because the dark side was clouding the Force and all that.
I shouldn't be laughing at that, but caught them all by surprise.
But yeah, that was a fantastic scene. The image that really struck me was him holding the fire while also pushing the aircraft that they were in
away.
And in his final moment, as he pushed the ship away, his eyes were able to see again. And the last thing he saw was his family, which was just beautiful. He finally got to say that, or no, he really didn't get to say that he loved Hera. But
I mean, she knew.
She knew.
Everybody knew.
Question though.
Yeah,
going back, now that we're on that topic, going to the end of the season, we find that Hera has a baby. And it's roughly the right age of elapsed time between where Rebels ends off and after the Battle of Endor. So this kid's probably like 6 or 7 at this point, maybe 8. Was Kanan the father?
I'm just confused by that because I thought that their love was unrequited until they kissed.
It was
like right before he died. So if they were shacking up the whole time, it takes a little meaning out of that scene because it's not like that's the first time they expressed love for each other.
Right.
Unless like in the Star Wars
in between that scene and when they cut back to like everyone else, like Ezra and Zeb and everyone else, they were shacking up at that point.
Like on the rooftop?
Yeah,
they
maybe.
Had like a quick...
But
they had a quickie?
Maybe.
I don't know. It seemed very much like they kissed and then like they like the rest of the crew came right away. Unless
he was born of the Force like Anakin.
Wow.
And supposedly like that's what happened with Rey. That's apparent. I haven't read the novelization for The Last Jedi yet, but apparently that's how it describes Rey's origins. Which
I didn't know that.
I'm not huge on, but whatever.
Yeah, it just left a lot of questions. It's like little kids, or it's like, how do you get pregnant? You kiss each other.
You might be pregnant now.
So yeah, I thought the death of Kanan Jarrus scene was beautiful. The next couple episodes with them going to the Jedi Temple and learning about that new ability within the Force, which kind of connects all time and space together through certain portals. I knew from the very start that Ahsoka was still alive because we saw her walk out. There was no, like, she wasn't like glowing or anything.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's just a matter of how that happened.
Yeah, everyone was like, oh, that's just symbolic of her death, but rarely, I can't actually picture any moment in Star Wars where symbolism was so strong that it was visualized on screen. That's true. Without telling the truth. I don't know. It was a weird way for people to kind of rationalize that, but Ahsoka's back. Ezra saved her. I love that scene in that time travel room.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I was at the edge of my seat like, that was Yoda. That was Padme. Qui-Gon. Yeah. So that was really cool. And there's so much to potentially explore there. And I wonder if we're going to be seeing more of that in episode 9. Because I do believe Snoke lied to Kylo Ren to tell Rey that she was nobody. That's my personal opinion, because we know that Snoke breached their minds and kind of gave Rey a false vision. So why wouldn't he give Kylo Ren a false vision? So I think that maybe she'll explore her parentage through the Force like that.
Okay.
Could be cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Because, I mean, why even create this concept if it's not going to be explored in a bigger way later?
And a few seasons ago, we saw Ezra communicating with Yoda, which is the same thing that we saw in The Last Jedi with Rey and Kylo. So, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm totally for time travel in Star Wars, if done sparingly and logically.
Yeah.
If it's overkill, abandon it now.
I like how the Emperor knows about it and seemed to be waiting for Ezra.
Yeah, to open it.
He's very interested in Ezra.
What I did not like about that scene was the Force fire that the Emperor did to chase them off. How did that work? How did he channel fire like that through the Force?
And he does electricity, so it's energy. Right.
Yeah, but energy has you can direct that, but fire kind of dissipates after a certain range. I didn't really get that. If you have any thoughts on that particularly, let us know. But I thought that whole arc was really cool. Mm-hmm. But I think it's now time we talk about the actual finale.
I had very specific expectations, which, yeah, that's my own fault for making specific expectations. But because of the way that the advertisements were with Hera speaking, to the audience and the hopelessness in her voice, it kind of made it seem like everyone was going to die. And because none of those characters are in any of the films that follow, I thought that they were all going to die in kind of like a Rogue One fashion. And I also thought that this series was going to lead into Rogue One, kind of like how Rogue One led into the original series in a way. That's just kind of what I thought was going to happen, and I was completely wrong. So my expectations were kind of shattered with this, which isn't a bad thing, but...
You had, reason to believe that, because we did see the ghost ship in Rogue One. Mm-hmm. We heard, General Syndulla, you're needed in this whatever, and you saw Chopper in Rogue One.
Yeah, so I just thought it was gonna... I thought that that's the direction we were going in. So when the finale of the whole show was kind of focused on Lothal, I get how it kind of came full circle because it started with Lothal and ended with Lothal. I just thought it was going to be a bigger picture project, because even all through this season we kind of heard mentions of Director Krennic and the Kyber crystal and what was going on with all of that. So I just assumed, oh yeah, this is going to be a huge, big ending. But it's not like Lothal has any impact, that much on the rest of the universe galaxy. After this. Yeah, the galaxy after this.
When it comes to Lothal and all that, I too was a little bit I don't want to say bummed that it wasn't going into, I saw it kind of narrowing down to them just freeing Lothal as the last season progressed. But I was a little dismayed that it didn't have larger galaxy implications like the previous couple seasons did, because they planet hopped all the time in seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah, and we met huge characters like Darth Maul
and Obi-Wan,
Leia,
Yoda.
So I thought that there was going to be... It was cool that they had a lot of random people that you met along the way that came to help. I thought that was cool, people there to support Ezra. I just thought there were going to be bigger ramifications.
I wonder if there was some discussion within Lucasfilm of keeping it contained. And that's why the story kind of ended the way it did. Obviously, we knew that the Jedi in the series needed to leave or die at some point by the end. They aren't in episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
So the death of Kanan Jarrus, although tragic and beautiful, made sense. Mm-hmm.
Ezra's disappearance, however, and then Ahsoka still being around and going to look for him.
Ahsoka technically is not a Jedi anymore, and I think her neutral stance on the universe kind of
protects her character.
Protects her a little bit, yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
But yeah, Ezra, there needs to be a good explanation as to where he went with Thrawn and the space whales. I forget their name.
I likes them.
They're cute. I will say that last scene was epic, though, with him going alone, taking Thrawn, and bringing all these space whales to aid him. I thought that was too cool. And
it was such an Ezra thing to do, to use the animals to fight.
Yeah,
too.
It was so Ezra.
It.
It was so Ezra. Especially with the wolves, too. He got all his friends to help. I'm just surprised we didn't get, the Lothcat to help out.
Yeah, that's true.
But can't have it all,
I also was expecting to see the Bendu again.
Oh, yeah.
Which we didn't see.
When they left to go on the secret mission, and he was like, you won't believe it if I told you. I thought they were going to get the Bendu, but yeah. I
guess that just opens possibilities for future films to have, maybe just Force-sensitive animals and beings that are neutral there. I would have liked to know more about, what the heck is the Bendu? Who are you?
Yeah. So several years pass between when Ezra and Thrawn and the space whales leave and jump, and Sabine at the end is explaining what everyone went off and did. We know that Sabine has another mission. We know that Ezra left her in charge of... I mean, not that he left her in charge, but he said that she'd know what to do.
Well, that he was counting on her.
Right, that's right, yeah. So we know her mission isn't over, which likely means Ezra's mission isn't over. We even got confirmation from her that Ezra's alive out there somewhere.
Ezra's out there somewhere.
You know,
Which how she knows that, we're not sure.
but it also appears that Ahsoka knows that. So likely Ahsoka has some idea where he is. And
Now the question is Thrawn still alive?
it's quite possible. I feel like he's the kind of character that would survive at all costs. Although I don't know how.
That's true, he would.
Like the windows for the ship were like open.
Yeah, so that's what I'm confused about too. Like,
How
how
do
are
they
they not
survive
dead?
that? It's Star Wars. There's a way.
Yeah.
That scene with Sabine and Ahsoka reminded me a lot of Lord of the Rings. Spoilers for Lord of the Rings if you haven't seen it. It's been out for a while. When Frodo at the end of the Lord of the Rings decides to go along with Bilbo to the Undying Lands with the elves, Ahsoka kind of had like that elfish look to her. Like,
Yeah.
she had the cloak over her, like she was waiting for Sabine, like she knew that her time was coming to go and do whatever she needed to do to find Ezra. That really mirrored that scene in Lord of the Rings to me. And Dave Filoni is kind of known for doing stuff like that,
I
especially
am
with
no
Ahsoka.
Jedi.
Yeah, with Ahsoka. I am no Jedi. I am no man.
I am no Jedi.
I am no man.
That wouldn't surprise me at all if that was actually the inspiration for that scene. I really liked it. I would have liked to see a montage of them fighting in these battles, though. We just kind of got an explanation.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true.
Do you think that it was a good cap to the show?
The season as a whole didn't feel like a cap. So no, I wouldn't say a good cap. Did I think the season was bad? No. I liked a lot of the stuff that they introduced, but everybody knows that, you know, at the end of an essay, you don't introduce new ideas. Usually, you know, you kind of wrap up the threads that you've left open, you know, whereas this, it just felt like a lot of new things happened. But
That's
I
a
think
good
that
point.
the things, you know, the things that they did wrap up, they did quite nicely. Yeah, it's hard to say as far as a cap. It doesn't feel like a cap. It feels like one of those water bottles that has like one of those little spouts and now it's going to shoot, like you can shoot someone in the eye in a very
Wow,
specific
you're taking
way.
this like cap word very literally.
I'm thinking of caps.
I agree with you. I think that they might have outdone themselves earlier in the previous few episodes with like new ideas, and then the ending kind of felt flat. Like we said, it was just like very centered on Lothal. Strategically, if Thrawn is such a great threat to them, why would he focus all of his attention on a random group of rebels on Lothal instead of taking on a much larger...
He was like their greatest fan, honestly.
I think so. Yeah.
He really was like obsessed with them.
He was determined to be specifically their enemy, their villain, their supervillain, their rogue gallery. But I'm not saying it was bad. It just it kind of left me thinking, is that it? And we know that it isn't it, because we know that there is another cartoon coming.
Exactly. So it feels more like an introduction toward something more specific.
Yeah.
Later.
Most likely it will be after the original trilogy, which was pretty much always going to be the case, I think. I really wanted something more along the lines of like Luke starting his new Jedi Order. Recently, Disney bought the trademark for a thing called Star Wars Resistance. So that likely will be the next series. To be honest, like in the original trilogy, the like Rebel Alliance, and in the sequel trilogy, the Resistance, those are kind of like the more boring parts of the Star Wars universe, because I'm not into like all the space battles and all that. I'm more into like the mythology, which I really like the fact that Rebels dug so deep into that, and I hope they do that again in the next show. But I'll obviously watch it, especially if Dave Filoni's involved, because you know he's gonna bring his characters back.
He always does.
I'm so happy Ahsoka's alive still.
I know, she's great.
I have a feeling she is still technically alive in the sequel era, and I would love to see her at some point. I don't know how they would adapt that to screen, but I'm sure they could do it. What did you guys think of the series finale of Star Wars Rebels? Did it live up to the previous 4 seasons? Did it hold up the standard that is Star Wars that you expect in the franchise? Let us know in the comment section down below. Did you like the show? Did you not like the show? we want to hear your thoughts. We really do. We're very curious because we never really talk about Star Wars Rebels on this show, and unfortunately,
even though we love it very much.
Yeah, it's actually one of the shows that we catch every single week. We're both very sad that it's over, but it doesn't feel like it's over, and that's kind of what we're feeling right now.
If you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button and like, please. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, and check us out on Twitter again.
Bye.
Bye, guys.